Maryland leads the way in creating a new type of corporation. Joining us for this week's Smith Business Close-Up is Melissa Carrier, Assistant Dean of Global Programs and Executive Director of the Center for Social Value Creation at the University of Maryland's Robert H. Smith School of Business. Melissa, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
So this new type of corporation is called a Benefit Corporation. What does that mean?
Well, a benefit corporation is a legal corporate form that allows a company to do two things. One, continue to pursue profits as a typical company would, but to do so in a socially and environmentally responsible way.
Well, how does that differ from other regular, normal types of corporations that might want to try to act in a responsible way?
Yes, it is quite distinct. So if you expect a typical company to do good, you would want a benefit corporation to do even better. And what's very unique about this corporate form are really three things. One is that it actually requires the company to create a material positive impact. That is part of the company's charter. And two, it requires that its directors pursue both interest of shareholders, but also interests more broadly across all stakeholders. And then three, very uniquely, the company has to publicly report on how well they are creating that social and environmental impact using a third-party certification.
All right, a couple of questions there. What happens when some of those directives or goals come into conflict with each other?
Well, the law is currently untested, so it's only about 2.5 years old, and there are currently 12 states that have this legislation in place. So it's not entirely clear over time how it's going to play out in the legal system. But the idea is that if you are a company that has created a benefit corp legal entity, you are able to make trade-off decisions between pursuing an environmental objective and, say, pursuing profit. A great example might be about 12 years ago when Ben & Jerry's was sold to Unilever. They were legally required to accept the highest bid. That's part of the corporate structure and fiduciary responsibilities for profit maximization to shareholders. And so the hope, I think, from our legislators who created this law is that companies will now have more flexibility in being able to make both financial decisions going to the future as well as setting their strategy and have some protection under the law.
So we mentioned that Maryland was first. Other states have done something similar. Has the concept evolved, or are other states doing it the same way?
It is evolving. One unique aspect of Maryland is it is the only state currently to allow for benefit LLCs, which is a more typical legal structure for small businesses. And so what we've seen in Maryland, for example, is a majority of those who have incorporated as benefit corporations are small businesses, where the owners are the managers of the firm. Other states have incorporated similar laws. I mean, the three things that I mentioned about the fiduciary responsibility and the desire to create social impact, that's been pretty consistent across the legislative landscape in the country.
You had a group of MBAs take a look at this. What did they find?
Well, they found a couple of things. One is that most of the firms that did incorporate really did so to create a legal structure that matched their principles. They were very interested in making sure that their value systems were reflected in that corporate organization. But by and large, they're quite small companies. We currently don't have any publicly traded firms as benefit corporations, nor significantly large in terms of revenue companies that are part of that. And one of the things that we found is that there is a need for increased coordination. So as more companies are interested in this pursuit, we need lawyers, we need accountants and consultants who can help guide those firms to make those kinds of decisions.
Are there particular industries where this is more popular? I mean, are there places where it makes sense and places where it may not make sense?
That's a great question. What we found in surveying the 39 benefit LLCs and benefit corporations in the state is they came from every industry. We thought we might find some consolidation in certain industries, maybe food and beverage or retail, but we really didn't. It really crossed the gamut of all kinds of industries, and that's what we've also seen nationally. It really comes down to being about the values of the company and the ethos of that firm and what its managers and its employees really believe in, and that seems to cross all industry areas.
Is there anybody that's, I don't know how specific you want to be, but any of these that have really taken off or hit a home run either from the profit perspective or the public benefit perspective?
Well, it's a little early to say in the state. As I mentioned, many of the companies are small. You have small retail outlets. You've got shops. You've got coffee owners. You've got some companies in clean tech. And so time will tell. But nationally, you could look at a company like Patagonia, for example, which has hundreds of $millions in revenue. They are a certified benefit corporation. So as we start to see larger companies take this corporate status, we'll see what the impacts can be long-term for the capital markets and for society at large.
All right, Melissa Carrier joining us from the Smith School. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.